On the 16th of June, Israel launched an attack on Iranian nuclear sites, resulting in the deaths of several senior military leaders and prominent nuclear scientists. At the time, the Israeli Prime Minister stated that the most important of the regime's uranium enrichment facilities had been destroyed, along with a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. And just hours after the Israeli attack, Iran responded by targeting dozens of sites, bases, and military infrastructure inside Israel. This escalation was not the first from either side. On the 1st of October 2024, Iran launched 200 missiles toward Israel. Iranian media reported that for the first time, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard used hypersonic missiles in this attack. So, what are the hypersonic missiles that Iran used? And what are ballistic missiles as well? A ballistic missile is launched thanks to an initial thrust provided by its rocket engines at takeoff, and it continues to ascend until the force of gravity overcomes the thrust, causing the missile to reach its maximum possible altitude before it begins to gradually descend toward the ground to hit its target. Its trajectory in the air resembles an arc, which is why it is called a ballistic trajectory. What is the range of ballistic missiles? Ballistic missiles can reach a great range thanks to their arched trajectory. According to the Arms Control Association, ballistic missiles are classified based on their range into 4 main categories. First, short-range missiles, which have a maximum range of 1,000 kilometers. Second, the medium-range missiles, which have a range between 1,000 and 3,500 kilometers. Third, intermediate-range missiles with a range between 3,500 and 5,500 kilometers. Fourth, long-range or intercontinental missiles, which have a range of more than 5,500 kilometers. Let me tell you that some ballistic missiles, but not all of them, leave the atmosphere, and that depends on the missile's range. The farther the intended target is, the higher the missile must be launched. Short-range missiles do not leave the atmosphere, while medium and long-range missiles usually do leave the atmosphere. As for intercontinental ballistic missiles, they almost certainly travel at an altitude outside the atmosphere. Does the entire missile return to Earth? What returns from the missile is a small part known as the re-entry vehicle. This vehicle contains the warhead and, if present, the guidance system. Ballistic missiles can also carry nuclear warheads. Now, let's talk about hypersonic missiles. If ballistic missiles travel at tremendous speeds exceeding 5 times the speed of sound, then what's new about hypersonic missiles? We should say that flying at hypersonic speeds is not something new, since any weapon moving at more than 5 times the speed of sound can be described as hypersonic, that is, greater than Mach 5. And ballistic missiles, usually during one stage of their launch, can easily reach this speed. According to the American Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, the fundamental difference between ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles is the latter's ability to maneuver and evade defenses. They evade air defenses and fly in a wave-like pattern as they re-enter the atmosphere, doing so at high speeds without being restricted to the predetermined trajectory of projectiles. This is in contrast to ballistic missiles, which lack maneuverability and guidance once their fuel is depleted, and as they return to Earth toward their target, relying solely on physical forces such as gravity to complete their curved trajectory. In general, any weapon must achieve 2 main features to be considered hypersonic: speed and maneuverability. In the final stage of the hypersonic missile, a part known as the glide re-entry vehicle separates from it, as we mentioned, and it is designed to re-enter the atmosphere at speeds exceeding 5 times the speed of sound, while at the same time being capable of maneuvering and also changing its trajectory at these high speeds. In the case of ballistic missiles, their trajectory can be calculated if they are detected by radar, and thus computers and algorithms can calculate all of that, which means there is a possibility to intercept ballistic missiles. What are cruise missiles? Cruise missiles are unmanned vehicles powered by jet engines, and they closely resemble airplanes, and they can be launched from land, air, or sea platforms. Cruise missiles also remain within the atmosphere throughout their entire journey, and they can fly at a low altitude, sometimes just a few meters above the ground. Although flying at such a low altitude consumes more fuel, it makes cruise missiles extremely difficult to detect. The question here is, when do we use each of these types? I would say that due to their cost, hypersonic weapons are mainly useful for dealing with well-defended and time-sensitive threats, where we want to deliver a strike within 15 to 30 minutes. And if time is not a concern, Cruise missiles can be used because they are much cheaper. But if the targets are time sensitive but not protected by missile defenses, here ballistic missiles can be used because they are less expensive and can also carry maneuverable warheads. In the end, don't forget to support us by subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Have a good evening.